This Lewis Hamilton contract has been talked about for the whole entire year, and it's pretty crazy that there has been no real confirmation of what is happening. I mean, we heard Toto talk to a kid, say that the 2-year deal is done, then a kid kind of saying it, but why is there no confirmation? First they said Silverstone, then they said a Grand Prix before, Lewis has said we're right about there. Now Toto is saying that we are trying everything in our power to keep Lewis. Now, the contract situation so far in silly season has been pretty simple. I mean, we've had Guan Yu Zhou maybe already signing for a 2024 deal, which I don't think is a bad thing. I mean, we have the Chinese Grand Prix next year. It's already getting looked into to keep Guan Yu Zhou for that reason. He's very marketable, but he's also been doing pretty well. I mean, last year you could say 2 to 3 tenths difference between Bottas. Now it's pretty much the same. Yuki is being talked about into staying into another contract. Yuki has been outstanding, and I think another contract is well deserved, but what is their thought process? What is that AlphaTauri team thinking about for the future? Now, the one team that I find in particular very interesting in how I think this whole entire Lewis Hamilton situation is arising. Now, Lewis should be paid good. I mean, there's no reason for him not to be paid as much as Max or even more than Max. And Max is paid approximately around 40 to 45 million a year. Now, Max is a prodigy. Max is a world champion that will probably end up getting to the point of where Lewis Hamilton is at. But Lewis Hamilton is that solidified, practically the GOAT of our sport, the one that has made everything as big as it is. He is one of the athletes that's kind of brought back the Formula One sport, brought in so many fans. So yes, he deserves a big payday. So I think the whole entire negotiation is kind of being revolved around whether he's going to have like a ambassador role, how much he's going to make out of the like Mercedes stock. Maybe he's trying to get like a Messi contract. If you guys follow soccer or football or whatever you guys end up calling it, with Messi, he ended up getting a contract and he's making some off of the ticket sales. I wonder if they're looking to same if maybe Hamilton's looking to make something off of the Mercedes cars. That would be a great look for him. And I mean, I would obviously keep him even wealthier for a very long period of time. The one thing that was offered, and that was pretty crazy, was a $50 million a year at Ferrari. Now, here's my thing. I think Lewis has proven that he is Michael Schumacher level. Michael started Benetton, 1-2 there, went to Ferrari, transformed that team from not winning to becoming the team that it is. Now, Lewis Hamilton, in his own aspect, has done the exact same thing. He went from McLaren winning, which he could have probably won another couple of years there if he stayed and transformed with the team, but he decided, he took the gamble, went to Mercedes. They were 5th in the constructors, brought him up 1 year, and then guess what? New regulations come. Mercedes is the top dog. He ends up winning 6 over there to have 7 in total, even tying Michael Schumacher. So he took that role. He doesn't need to take this Ferrari option, but I think some of him does have his eyes set on it. I mean, I think personally that would be a bad option to do. There's no reason of him going actually now to Ferrari when the team is in shambles like this. I mean, not necessarily shambles, but they're not doing that great. I don't think that Ferrari team is necessarily what he's looking for. Stability and staying in Mercedes is the better option. But Carlos is very frantic about this contract. And Fred Vasseur is quick to kind of ignore Carlos on when we are talking about the deal. Fred even said, going into really the next break happening, that's when we'll talk about the contract. But leaks are now coming out that Charles Leclerc is getting a contract all the way up until 2025, and it's a pretty fat contract. So you can see where their priorities are at. I can see why Carlos is not happy about it. It makes a lot of sense. Why would Carlos be the one wanting to wait for a contract and have that almost anxiety and stress upon him during the season? Now, through this season, Mercedes has made the right steps to make Lewis happy, in my personal opinion. It seems like they're moving in the direction that he wants them to move in. Well, recently in an interview, I mean, it's like a mid-season update from Toto Wolff, he talks about what the next steps are they are taking for their car.
With the car development almost stopped for this year, I find it good because there's so much we can optimize on the current car without looking too much onto upgrades. Let's see how we can really get it into more of a sweet spot whilst gaining lots of understanding for next year.
Taking this into consideration, they're already looking ahead, as they should be, because the car obviously isn't fast enough to be going at the pace to be a world champion. And Lewis has said multiple times this year, we have to step on the gas, go towards 2024, and really put all our efforts into making this car better to be actually championship material, not just this average Joe that it's been in the season. Now as for Lewis going to Ferrari, I think that would be phenomenal to see him with Charles Leclerc. He already has a great pairing with George Russell, so for that reasoning, I think it would be somewhere along the lines of the same level. I think Lewis would still beat him, but the car wouldn't be up to par. Why do I think he's staying at Mercedes? Well, through all the reports and everything that he said, he has no reason of staying here. This is the team that, hey, if we're being honest, probably has the best chance of actually catching up to Red Bull going into 2024 and 25. Now, let's say they go off of that leak for the 2 years for Hamilton's contract. Well, he goes into 2024, 2025, it gives him an option to see what team does he think will transform to be the best in 2026. Would Aston Martin be a team for him? Another Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton reunion. And yes, Lance Stroll has the lifetime contract, but how stupid would Aston Martin have to be to not take him instead of Lance? I mean, come on. Imagine the marketing for the Aston Martin team. Their car sales would be out of this world if they had Lewis and Fernando being the head of that team. And now imagine them fighting in a title like Nico. And I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself, but that would be honestly ideal as an Aston Martin fan, but also to see Lewis try and win it again, to see Fernando match up with him. It would be literally 07 back again. I mean, it would be phenomenal to watch. That'd be very fun. Hang on that Ferrari. I would also love to see him against Max Verstappen, but it's hard to say that anybody would beat Max Verstappen in that car. You give him the 2020 Mercedes, put Max Verstappen there, Max ain't beating Lewis. But in the same car, it's difficult to judge, different driving styles. It'll be a tall task. It's going to be a tough one here for Lewis. I think he's going to sign his contract. He's always kind of been in this situation to where he waits till the last second, sees where his options are at, how much money are they really willing to put on the table, because I think Mercedes will throw everything at him to really get him. He's just that driver. He's worth that much to be thrown loads and wads of cash. I mean, Michael Schumacher is a billionaire from Formula One. I don't see why Lewis shouldn't be a billionaire from Formula One. But I'd like to hear your thoughts going into this real silly season, and kind of where do you stand with the whole Lewis Hamilton contract situation, because it's a tricky one. I would like to see him in multiple different teams. I'd also like to see him in Mercedes. I want to see him winning again. I think it'd be nice for him to get his 8th and retire, and we move on to a different generation of drivers, even with this Max Verstappen period. Let me know your thoughts down below. Please leave a like, subscribe. It would mean the world, and peace.